I met Tony through a young lady who had just finished her doula certification class and all that good stuff in November. And because her and I are friends, I was like, great, I trust you. You're a mom of four. You already have your birth experiences. You're new to this. I'll gladly be your first mom. Cool. So she was technically my doula. And on that Thursday before my induction, she came over to, kind of practice positions with me, the squatting, the things, the different techniques with the rebozo, things like that. And that is how I actually met Tony. I met Tony 2 days before my induction, which was nothing but God. But Tony's, showing us the techniques over FaceTime, things like that. So we're doing stretching. And while she's examining me, we realized that because of my diastasis recti, the a reason my contractions had been on and off the last couple of days is because my son was not like aligned properly, but he had also found that little corner between my muscles and had nudged himself in it. So Tony gave us some recommendations on like binding my stomach. So I had like a belly binder that like it was just like the workout belt that I got with, but it helped. So we binded my belly with the workout belt. Tony had us do like stretches and putting me on all fours and like putting the top half of my body down and applying ice to my back to try and get the baby to turn and be aligned. Once the baby was aligned, we did the belly binder and, kind of went from there. On Friday, I just kind of, did house cleaning, things like that, just to try to keep moving. Saturday morning, before, and this is before they called me in for my induction, Tony was like, listen, I want to make sure this baby is aligned. I've never met you, but I'm coming to your house. Wonderful. Come on over, girl. So Tony came over, did those same stretches with me to make sure the baby was still aligned properly. We're doing the squats with the rebozo, the assisted squats with my husband. They kind of practiced the TENS machine on me so I would know what it felt like, things like that. So, and Tony was just kind of giving me all of the ways that an induction could go if I decided to proceed with the induction, and kind of just telling me, they might want to do the Foley bulb or the catheter that helps with dilation, that doesn't help with contractions, and just kind of explaining the different options and what they would try to do with me versus what would actually, if I decided to go through with, what would be beneficial to me. So Saturday afternoon-ish, leading to the evening, I get a phone call from Presby, come in at 6. Great. So I go in, and luckily, not the Black doctor, but my previous, whom I love, she came in and was like, so what are we doing with the induction? I was like, my doctor was saying the catheter, I don't necessarily want to do the catheter. After talking to my doula, I just don't feel like that's going to be beneficial to me. Luckily, she agreed. She was supportive and she was like, I kind of agree. This is your second baby. We don't have to do the catheter or the bulb. You're at a 2.5. Let's just start Pitocin. Your body's gonna kind of know what to do. We don't have to stick anything up there. So they started Pitocin at 9, bumped it up by 2 milliliters every 1 to 2 hours. And I feel like I'm forgetting things because it's so fresh. My contractions were tolerable. I was talking through them, it was fine, but I just could not get comfortable. So the young lady that was intended to be my doula was trying to encourage me to do certain things. I just know, like, that's not what I want to do. That you want me to get in the water, because like I do not want to get in the water. Like, I don't want to get in that tub in that hospital. I don't know if it's been cleaned, but again, I just don't want to get in the water. So on top of the fact that I also had symphysis pubis dysfunction, which is a whole nother monster because I can't move my leg, my right leg, without my entire groin area being in complete pain and on fire. And that has happened with both pregnancies. Luckily, it goes away pretty immediately, but it impacted what I was able to do in labor. So I was a mixture of, when I feel like I'm being pushed in a certain direction, I become defiant. So at this point, I'm now defiant. I'm like, I'm gonna sit and work through these contractions. I'm gonna sit on the bed. I'm gonna sit on the couch. I'm gonna sit in a chair. I'm gonna sit on a ball because the squats are now hurting because of the pubis dysfunction. And so they're steadily knocking up the Pitocin around 6, 7 a.m. My contractions are now, I'm not talking through them, which is a great sign, but we still have a long way to go. And my doctor is like, oh, do you want me to break your water? No, I do not want my water broken. My baby caught an infection last time. I do not want, I know you continue to check my cervix. I don't want my water broken. If you're sticking your hands up there, it's just an unnecessary step. So she's like, fine, I support you. We do not have to break your water, but just know that things will progress a little faster once that happens. I was like, no, I'd rather break on its own. I don't care if the baby is born in cold. I do not want my water broken manually. So around 8:30, luckily the contractions were so strong my water broke. Thank God. Which apparently I had some polyhydramnios as well. So I'm constantly gushing. Around 10-ish, I'm now in unbearable pain and I decide to get IV meds. Bad decision. The IV meds essentially made me feel super drunk, but I felt everything. My contractions were every 3.5-ish minutes. So in the 3 minutes between contractions, I'm dead sleep. And I was waking up out of my sleep to like scream through the contractions and like passing back out because I was drunk. I was completely drugged. Which was not a fun experience for me because I don't remember Tony getting there. I was completely out of it. And during one of my contractions, I drunkenly opened my eyes and I was like, oh, Tony's here. Okay. And then passed back out. So at this rate, Tony's like, we got to get this girl up. We need to get her moving. I don't care what she says. We need to do something. So Tony now has me laboring down on the toilet. We're trying to stand, bending over the bed, and she's doing the jiggles. She's doing the hip squeezes, because we need to get this baby out. Around 1, I make the decision that I want epidural, which was not in my birth plan, but at this rate, I'm exhausted and I'm in pain. And Tony's like, before the epidural, I need you to give me 5 contractions on the toilet. Just because she explained to me, being on the toilet, your body is going to naturally kind of adjust, on top of the fact you're in a position that the baby has nowhere to go but down. So I probably cursed her out in my head. I don't know if I did it verbally, but I gave her 5 contractions on the toilet. And at this rate, the contractions are extremely strong. I think every 2-ish minutes. And I am in unbearable, incoherent pain. And I'm screaming and grunting through every contraction. So I get the epidural. And this is when things get complicated. So I get the epidural. Now I'm laying down in the bed. We're trying to lay on sides. The nurses lay me on my left side. Well, no, first I'm laying on my back and I'm kind of laying on my right side. So things are progressing. I start to shake, which means I'm transitioning. And the nurses are like, okay, great. We're approaching transition or in transition. Let's switch sides. So now I am laying on my left side. Everything stops. Contraction stop. The shivering stops. The pain stops. Everything stops. And Tony's like, that's not normal. So like, something's going on. And the nurses are just like, no, that's normal. That's fine. Her body's tired. She's relaxed. The epidural, blah, blah, blah. And Tony's like, no, But whatever. So the nurses leave, and Tony's like, let's get you back on your right. So Tony puts me back on my right side, and within a minute or two, I'm shivering again. Contractions have started, and I'm feeling pressure. So Tony at this rate is like, we need to keep you on this side. I don't know what's going on, but we need to keep you laying on this side because everything completely stopped. Whatever in your body was communicating with the and the shiver, everything stopped communicating. So at this rate, I'm laying on my right side, and Tony has my leg draped over the side and is doing the shaking and just trying to, keep me laboring down. And then once the pressure returned, it's around 4:45 after doing a couple practice pushes, the pressure returned, my shivering returned, and the nurse is like, okay, let's do a practice push before I go get the new doctor because it was shift change. And the baby is right there. I had gone to complete within like an hour. So they're like, oh my gosh, the baby's right there. He was originally a little higher up, but he's right there. And my husband saw the head come out and everything. So the new doctor is rushing in, getting gowned up, and I do one push and they tell me to stop because they have not broken the bed down. And again, I'm still laying on my right side. And at this point, they're trying to put me on my back, and I'm like, oh, I'd rather not push on my back. And I'm like looking at Tony like a little sad little puppy, like, I know you said I shouldn't push on my back, and I don't want to be pushed. I tend to be a people pleaser. So I'm definitely the compliant patient because I'm just gonna be like, okay, sure, whatever. But I was trying to really stand firm. I was like, I don't want to push on my back. So Tony and my husband, I didn't push on my side, but they had me at an angle. So I was kind of on my back at first glance, but I wasn't. So I did a one push and they had the bed down and they told me to stop. Well, my body did not stop. And because I was still mid contraction, my child slid right on out. And it was the most amazing 30 seconds of pushing with no tearing in my life. Oh, I didn't forget to mention I second degree tear with 3 stitches with my first. So not tearing with this one and him delivering himself essentially was a complete 180. The end.
She did that. She was
already and then I high five Tony afterwards once the doctor confirmed I did not tear.